time to get serious with Mega March.
Welcome back to Mega March, everybody.
Woo-hoo.
I am your co-host, Twitch, of course, joined with my partner...
Coleman X. Hello.
Hey, and we are the Ramblin' Reploids. For those of you who don't know or are just joining us, we are getting together for something that we like to call Mega March. It is a long-standing Mega Man tradition, where basically you do something cool and Mega Man related every day of March. And we decided that we were going to cover something that we like to call Oops All X's. We have an episode that we did a while ago called Oops All Zeros, where we covered every single design of Zero. And we were going to do X, but as it turns out, he has a lot of designs. So our Big Metal Blueberry here has to be split up into an entire month of episodes. If you didn't catch the first episode, I recommend that you go and take a look at that. But if you're here now, you may as well sit and join us, because we are going to get into some of X's well-known default designs. These are going to be the first couple ones that we see in his game. We're out of the concept phase. No more popped collars or, cool things on your ears. We're getting into the X that we all know and love. So I've done enough yammering. I'm going to go ahead and let you bring us into this one, Coleman.
Well, as you said, we are out of the pop collar phase, and just look at this beautiful boy. Like, this one is one of my favorite pieces, just with him, with the handout from the X1 manual. Oh man, I love that pose.
What a good boy.
This is X. I mean, just look at him. Even if we go to the very first ever, you said this is the very first ever finalized X picture, right?
Yeah, this, I believe, is the very first version of X that would go on to spawn all other versions of X. This is when someone very politely went up to Keiji Inafune and said, "Listen, bud, we love you, but this is not Mega Man." And they handed it over to this other artist whose name escapes me. Please put it on screen now. He designed the version of X that we all know and love, while Inafune took his design and reworked it into a brand new second character who basically ended up fading into obscurity. No one's ever really heard of the guy outside of that. He's basically just another Mac.
Who?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Oops all Mac.
Yeah, oops all Macs. No, it became Zero.
Look at this boy. He is so proud of himself. He is. Look at those eyes. He's adorable.
He's like, I'm a maverick hunter.
I did it, Paul.
I'm gonna stop the bad guys.
I'm gonna stop the coop now.
Yeah, he's such a good boy. Look at his big doughy eyes. That is my only complaint about this initial sketch for this version of X, is that his eyes are way too doughy, and it doesn't match the rest of the style, which is why I'm fine with Inafune eventually coming back to take over for the early artwork for X. But yeah, this design came from someone else entirely. Again, I really do deeply apologize. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Yeah, so that's X. And then that spawned our famous blue boy over here. The one, doing he's dabbing. He's dabbing because he's so cool.
Oh no, don't ruin it for me. I love this picture.
I'm sorry. I mean, he's not doing... someone is falling out of the sky, and he's putting up his hand to stop them.
Okay.
He's saying, "Stop! There's a car coming." He's like a crossing guard, is what he's doing.
There we go. There we go. That makes
something like that.
That makes more sense in my brain.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Better than dabbing.
If we go back to old Dough Eyes here, his shoulders are a lot bigger than they become. So there's still a little bit of growing pains here,
Yeah,
his shoulders are big, and I love that even now that the design is set, there's still a little bit of tweaking that happens, and that's what this whole thing is about. This is
from here on. It's mostly just proportionate changes, how tall he is, what parts are larger, smaller, things like that.
Heyo.
They don't call him Mega Man X for nothing. I'm sorry, I'm getting dirty looks from all sides of the room now. I'll take that back. I'm sorry, everybody.
something something. Let me borrow that D-glaive, something something.
Yeah, something. No, that's for Zero. We already did an Oops All Zeros.
Well, like I said, he's just borrowing it.
X is, yeah, okay, he's gonna borrow it.
Let me copy that D-glaive.
Oh no! You gotta touch it first. Or does that only work in Ruby Spears? I'm not sure.
Well, one way to find out, baby.
Alright, everyone, we've completely fallen off the tracks here. Please allow us a moment to get back on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness. So, yeah, so here's X. This is the finalized version that would eventually go on to be every other version of X going forward, except that he'd be drawn by different people. You can see, once Inafune took over, he gave it the patented Inafune sharp lines for, like, the face and stuff. He started giving him the fingers, the weird, way that Inafune draws fingers that we all know and love.
The W hand.
Yeah, the W hand. It's starting to get into full-on authentic Mega Man now. And this is where the identity of Mega Man X really starts to come out. You can see in his face, pretty early on, like that picture of him, putting his hand out or whatever. He's got that kind of seriousness, and it almost looks like he doesn't look angry, but he looks like he's kind of like, I don't want to fight, but I'm going to. They really captured that in his face pretty well, right from the beginning, and I'm really glad that they did. So, yeah, they just did a good job. Like I said, the proportions are still a little funny, but those improve over time, so I really appreciated how they started doing that.
You can tell it's still coming, like, right out of Classic, going into X, with the proportions, because it's like, take Mega Man, just go stretch him.
It stretched Mega Man out, so instead of being like a good doughy boy, he's more like, he's more like a teenager. He's more cool, more like Casher, and I think that's a good idea. I think they really nailed it with that design direction. This is a Mega Man X who looks like Mega Man, is more futuristic looking because he's got more armor and he's shaded differently. And he's got like a good expression, and there's not too much going on. It's still just enough, And I just really like that. I think they really nailed it when they did that. And moving forward throughout the design process, they only made it better and better. Like the only difference I can really note between like X1 and X2, which is almost an identical art style,
it's really close.
Is that in X1, his little pectoral chest plate thingies were closer to the same color blue as the rest of his armor, and then once you go into like X2, it starts becoming like a light blue lavender kind of color, and then from like X3 and X4 onwards, they like really settled on that lavender color.
Yeah, and all the better for it. Like, I saw someone that customized a Kotobukiya kit to have those chest plates be just the same color blue, like in the X1 weapon kit, and like it looked fine, but it just like, there was just something missing with the design without that, that color clash. So I'm glad that I'm glad they figured out, what to do with it, for the best.
And also, if you go with, like, light blue so that it matches the little, like, helmet crest, I feel like it's too much light colors on him.
Yeah.
But if you go with lavender, it's, like, somewhere right in the middle, and that seems to be a good call. And, like, I didn't like the lavender at first, once I actually, like, noticed it. But then I realized, like, no, yeah, that is a good call. That's the correct color to go with for that. There's all these little subtleties that go into it,
Oh, yeah.
Great stuff. But yeah, you can see how futuristic he is, because now he's got like shiny armor. He's not as squishy, he's not as matte, he's more reflective. He's got those cool, the little light blue eyebrows that come off the helmet, whatever you call those things, the pointy bits. That's my favorite part of X's entire design.
Oh man,
those pointed bits on the helmet. And those were all the way back in the very first design for Mega Man X that we have, remember?
Yeah. Remember
they were there back in the concept art, and they brought them back. So I'm glad that was a really good design choice to bring them back.
It's very distinct while also being very Mega Man, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't get in the way of anything else. It's still very good.
Yeah,
you know? And I'm glad they brought the crest back, because some of those early designs got rid of it for some reason, and it just didn't look right to me.
he's balding. He's older.
Yeah, it was balding. Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, well, you know what? While we're here, speaking of balding, that picture for the old model kits with him without a helmet.
That's exactly what I was talking about. So everyone's gonna talk about this. This is a picture that gets shared around a lot. Everyone loves to meme on it nowadays, where they're like, "Oh my God, X is bald." These were sketches that were made for a Bandai model kit series,
The
the
Mega
Armor series,
Yep.
which we'll be talking about extensively in a later episode.
Yes, we will.
Basically, they went to Inafune because they were like, "Hey, we're gonna have it so that you can swap out the armor on these things. If you take off their helmet, we can't have nothing. There can't just be like a face. So, what can we put there?" So Inafune drew up this design of like what the underside of like what would be under their skin if you took their helmets off. And it's kind of like a RoboCop situation going on.
But this disproves the old theory. You know, I don't think that this art is canon just because it goes against the theory of if it has eyebrows, it's a girl. If it doesn't have eyebrows, it's a boy. That's why
true.
That's why Illuminae doesn't have eyebrows.
There you go. See, only girl characters are allowed to have eyebrows.
Yeah.
I think that's more to do with her helmet, and I feel like, just on a serious design note, I think they want the shape of the helmet to be the eyebrows, because
Yes.
the idea is that it's coming down and covering them, like that's how far down the helmet is to be protective of, like, the forehead. So I always liked that. I always liked the idea that, you can do that. And any time that you would see their eyes change shape or something, it's usually like the eyelid and not the eyebrows, and you only ever see their eyebrows when the helmet's not there.
Well, that brings up a good point. On the Kotobukiya kits, you can swap out the faces, and the faces look so soft when they're, just by themselves. Here's some reference images. But then you put it in the helmet, and it makes the eyebrow arc, and it just makes it look so intense. And it's so crazy because you got these like big round eyes, that just look super soft, and then you put it in there, it's like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, that was
really
a big
cool
moment for me as a kid when I realized, like, oh, it's the helmet that acts as the eyebrows. Which is funny because like the eyebrows clearly don't move. But as you'll see in some of these other pieces of art. Even if the helmet is fixed, you can still draw X with a wide range of emotions. The idea is that just because you can't see the eyebrows doesn't mean they're not there. The expression isn't, like look at this one of him holding his hand out to go shake his hand. Are you really just going to leave him hanging? Come on, guys.
No, he is, like, you want to shake his hand and maybe just, like, give him a hug. Like, look at him.
Look at him. I want to like, grab his hand, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. In that one movie, and they become the bicep buddies, and it's like, when they bring it in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pat him on the back twice, clank, clank,
You grab his arm, and it becomes a Ruby Spears arm.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. We both, for 1 minute, our arms were drawn by, the Ruby Spears crew. But yeah, he's actually very expressive, despite the fact that you don't see his eyebrows, and that's true of all Mega Man characters. And that's why I think Mega Man character design is so interesting, because there's all these like little rules and like tidbits on like how to make stuff work.
Yes.
To give them more expression with something as fixed as a metal helmet. So I think they did really good. There's not too much to say between Mega Man X1 through X3. It's all basically the same, but there's going to be slight changes in proportion. Mega Man X1 is the closest to original Mega Man, so he's very short and chubby-ish, kind of squat. He's not chubby, but he's like short. And then as we move towards X4, they just get taller and taller, with X3 I think being the tallest they get before we go full-on 90s anime with it.
Yeah, well, like I think that started on half of the art in X3.
Yeah. Like, you can see, like, in X3, the proportions really started to stretch out. And
yes.
I gotta say, it was a very good look. Yeah, there he is.
I always liked how X3, like, it really started that elongation process, I guess. Because, like, you see that art and then the one of Zero that's almost in the same pose. And they just look like, they look so much more mature and like taller. And when you're a kid, it's like, yeah, they did it!
They look like they could easily fit in with like Dragon Ball Z here. I don't know what it is. Like their body size and proportions. Like I feel like you could stick them in like a manga with Dragon Ball Z characters at this point, and they would just totally fit in. Oh
yeah, yeah. I've always been really partial to like that, just that small little era where it looked just like this. Like X4 and onward is great, but it's just this one, man. I'm like, come on, dude.
Yeah,
it's great.
This was peak '90s design in my opinion for the X series.
I think that's why I just love that aesthetic so much.
Yeah, like some of the shapes are like a little funny to me, but it's still okay. Like they haven't fully defined the shape of X's like pelvis yet. It's getting closer.
Yeah,
like way back in X1, like so X has this like little like downwards divot. It's like I don't know, it's like a rhombus or a trapezoid or something, and it's like right where his belt buckle would be if he was wearing one, and it like dips down a little bit, I guess, to give him some space when he bends over. But in X1, it was like really wide and covered almost like the entire front of his like pelvis armor. And as the games go on, it got smaller and smaller and smaller, I guess. And they kind of like lowered how high up his pelvis thing was.
Yeah.
So you can see the beginnings of that in X3. Yeah. Like if we do a quick reference, do a quick side-by-side comparison of all of X's pelvises. You can see like that little trapezoid gets smaller and smaller and smaller as time goes on, and X's knees become less egg-shaped, and they start giving him like defined points off of his knee.
Yeah,
and they basically start they stop playing fast and loose with the design and start really hammering it down. Like, okay, we need defined shapes for these things. I mean, it is, but there is something nice and organic about the way that they did X3 and stuff, so...
Yeah, well, you know, like when you're a kid and your parents buy you pants that don't quite fit yet, but they're like, don't worry, you're gonna grow into them. Like, that's, you know, that's what this is.
Yes, this is X finally starting to... He can finally wear them without needing a belt all the time. They're not falling... His pants aren't falling off, because as you can see, it's getting tighter around the waist. That's another thing I noticed, is that X has a very large chest. Like, if you look at his like back and stomach, he doesn't have much of an arch to his back. It's mostly like kind of chunky. It's not chubby, but it's like big. And then I think from X4 onwards is when they started giving him more of an arch to his back. And I kind of like when they started doing it. That is my only complaint about X3, is like I just wish I just want to kick him in the spine and just give him a little bit of a curve.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe not the kicking, but I...
Yeah, he'd probably turn around and destroy me. But, yeah, X3 is peak 90s, in my opinion.
Yes.
Excellent work.
Excellent.
Excellent. Yeah, there's going to be lots of those puns, folks. I hope you're ready.
Oh, yeah. Get excited for that.
Jeez.
But yeah, like, X4 through X7 is pretty streamlined.
Yeah, he had a really tall phase in X4 for some reason. Like,
yeah,
it's a little... I don't know how to describe it, because it looks like they're still coloring them using markers, but, like, you know, good ones. Like, there's this one art where it's X... it looks like he's looking over his shoulder, and he's got his buster arm, like, pulled up. You know, kind of like he's like, oh, what's that? Like, behind me, you know, like that one. So, that one is from X4, and there's something about the coloring style and just, like, the face and, like, the way that they did this one that is, like, more refined. It's, like, a more refined version of the X3 style, but they started making the characters more long, but here's where you can see they started really defining the shapes. Like, X's ankles aren't just, like, whatever the hell you decide they are, because they kind of were from X1 and X2. Now it's like, no, the ankles come here and there's a flat part at the bottom.
Yeah.
You know? The chest is shaped this way, the pelvis is shaped this way. You know what I mean? They started really, like, hammering it in.
You know what? I bet that was a consequence of having animated cutscenes, because they really needed something that they're going to carry forward. You know?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna actually see it a lot instead of just in the instruction book.
I feel like this is the point where Mega Man X wasn't just like a game they made on a whim, and they were like, oh no, like, the video game landscape is changing, we really do need to get, like, more professional with this. The quality has to keep up, because the game quality is increasing. You know, back in the day, you could have, like, a couple of napkin sketches and a couple of pixel artists, and there you go, you got yourself, like, a video game. But now it's like, no, we have to really keep the quality up, because the consoles are advancing, the games are advancing. We need something that feels authentic. And so X4, I think, is the very first time the artwork... And again, I'm not bashing X3, I'm not saying it's not good at all, but I feel like X4 is the first time where I could say that, like, the X series was, like, a AAA title at the time.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's, like, the first time Capcom really laid into the X series. I think that was, like, a peak we haven't seen in, like, a long time. The artwork, of course, has always stayed phenomenal from here on. So that is not, you know, what I'm saying. But I think X4 is when they really gave it their all behind the Mega Man franchise. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, 95 to 99 was a great year for great couple of years for the Mega Man franchise.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just X4, Mega Man 8, just, oh man, such good stuff.
Who was the artist on the extreme art right here with X and Zero? Because, man, that is...
So that's
God,
something
that's
I wanted
beautiful.
to talk about next. So now that I've had my little aside about X4, we need to talk about the fucking man, the myth, the legend, Haruki Suetsugu.
Yes.
Oh my god. This is a guy who has defined the look and feel of the Mega Man X franchise for so long, for so many games, and it just looks so good. And there's a reason why in Capcom, and even just among the artists who worked with him, they call him Sensei, because he really is, like, he's the guy. You know, I'm pretty sure he also worked on X4. I don't think he was the lead artist, but I know that from X5 onward, all the way up to X7, and every X game that came out in between there, he was the lead artist for. He's the guy who, you know, really hammered in the shading style that you see for the characters. He's the one who managed to marry together the proportions from X4 and X1 to give us what we have in X5, where, like, the characters are, like, that perfect size. They're chunky like they are in X1 because they're more close to the roots, like Mega Man in style and stuff like that, but they're drawn with this sort of, like, really awesome futuristic maturity, you know, that you've come to expect out of the X series, so they don't really look, like, childish, you know what I mean? He draws expressions that are just so awesome, and when you think of Mega Man X, this is probably the version of X that comes to mind, you know? It's just so good. The shading is excellent. The gems on every single person's body are just shaded in such a way that they feel real. Like, I've always wanted to reach out and touch one, you know what I mean? Like, this guy is the man. Expressive faces, perfect proportions, excellent poses, just incredible stuff. He really is, like, the king of, like, Mega Man X artwork, in my opinion. And everyone else is, of course, free to be wrong. Anyway. No, but really, he's the one who set the standard. When I look at his artwork for X5, X6, X7, and in both Extreme games, there's very little difference in them. Now, I do know that there were other artists involved on those games, but they all were based off of the Suetsugu template.
Right.
So, for ease of discussion, I'm just going to say it's all Suetsugu. But yeah, he's the one who really set the template, and it even carries through well into Maverick Hunter X, which is a slightly different art style, but it doesn't feel alien. It doesn't look like they did a huge departure from the original art style, and looks more like they've just refined it, you know? But oh man, I'm sorry, I can't gush enough about him. He designed so many great characters, and he's come up with so many awesome things. Like you know what, the Extreme characters, we gotta have to do like an episode just about Mega Man Extreme, because oh my god, Like, he gave us Gareth and Bracana, who are my two favorite villain designs for the entire X series, and it is absolutely a crime that we haven't seen them in anything else.
Dive, please.
Oh, please, X dive. Please give us playable Bracana and Gareth.
I want to see what her legs look like.
Yeah! Oh my god, so there's a piece of artwork, which I'll have to give it to you later to insert here, and I'm sure you've seen it, but he was given a full page in like the Mega Man X art books that came out, and he dedicated a huge chunk of a page to showing Bracana sitting in a throne, and she has like one leg crossed over the other, and you can just barely see that she has red pumps on. So she's got like red, like ruby slippers, you know, like the Wicked Witch.
Yeah.
And her word bubble says, "I have legs under here, you know." And that's it. Only he knows what they look like. We have no idea what the rest of her design looks like because it's hidden entirely by a long flowing dress that's always spinning somehow. But oh man, look at this! You got X clenching his fist. You got, you know, I mean, the size of his Buster Barrel seems to change. I don't know why that's a thing between games, but whatever. But he's shaded consistently well. He's always got the same kind of face. The gems always look good. He's in so many cool poses. Man, he did all the artwork for X5 and X6. Like, the armors just look so good. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Oh.
Do I need to bring you a fan or something?
All right, I'm gonna stop talking now. I'm gonna pass the microphone to Cole.
I'm gonna have to bring you a fan or something to cool you down.
You are. I'm sorry, but this is the guy. He defined a generation for the X series, man.
It's all right.
So that's my big gush. Go ahead.
You know, we can take the generational aspect, and before we get to X8, we can push it onto the modern interpretation with our X Dive art right here. Like, it takes, you know, it takes a lot of the design cues, but it's, you know, in its own distinct, recognizable style, and I really appreciate that.
Yes, this looks like, to me, as a sort of marriage between Suetsugu and Maverick Hunter X. Yes. It has some of the thin lines from Maverick Hunter X, so things are a little bit more streamlined. As I saw someone describe it once, it's a bit Neo, which is kind of cool. And everyone's a little bit longer. They kind of stretched everyone out, which is fine. Yeah. Because that I think is all right. I think as far as like getting better poses and things like that, it works better for you that way. Mm-hmm. The only thing I would ever complain about is I don't know what it is, but something weird to me about the abdominal and like pelvis area. Just something about the length and size of those bothers me, but I feel like if they were any other length, it wouldn't work. I don't know. It's something about the proportions in this version of the characters doesn't hit me quite as well as Suetsugu did, just because his characters had such a three-dimensional feel to them, and they felt real. But this is still a very good, very stylish version of X. So, yeah, I'm all with it. I'm all for new X art. I kind of like it. I like the hands aren't as chunky. They're a little bit more thin and nimble. Mm-hmm. So, that's me. That's my take on X Dive.
Yeah. Well, X8 is different. And it took, you know, when it first came out, I was okay with it. And then I was like, eh. And then over the years, I've been like, yeah, I get it. You know, like, I totally get it. It's its own beast, mm-hmm. but in a good way, you know?
Yes. I feel that from the legacy that Suetsugu left behind, with the way that he drew everything, everyone was just expecting that to be, like, the new style forever. Mm-hmm. And I can understand that. I totally get why you would want that. I feel that after the gigantic flop that was Mega Man X7, and I mean, it's been said, we're not here to bash on X7, but X7 was really bad. it severely damaged the reputation of the X series. Which, not that it was failing, but was just kind of like waning. The X series was kind of like, we've done it enough. So when X8 came out, I didn't appreciate it at the time because I was just a kid and I didn't have the foresight for it. But there needed to be some sort of reset for X8.
It's classic Sonic to modern Sonic, for Sonic Adventure.
Yeah, and I think that's fine because you have to remember, up to this point, Mega Man X has been running since the mid 90s all the way up through 2001, I think, was the last X game at the time. Something 2000. I know X5 was 2000, so I think X6 was 2001. It came out like 6 months later.
I think X7 was 2003, 2 or 3.
Yeah, something like that.
2004 was X8.
Right. And I really liked that artwork, of course. It was all good, but because X7 tarnished the series so badly, they really did need a reset. And X8 was that reset. And at first, it wasn't really as well accepted as it is today. And even today, there's still a lot of people who don't like it. But as someone who's had the time to stop and appreciate the circumstances that led to the choices made about X8, and also just the artistic choices, I am saying this definitively here today, as I have many times in the past, that X8 is my favorite version of Mega Man X.
Ooh, bold.
It is my favorite version of Mega Man X. And after you heard me yammering on about how much I love, Suetsugu's art style and his version of X and those proportions and all that other stuff, I feel that way about X8 as well. I think X8 took all of X's best features and cranked them up to 11. It gave him enough details to make him really interesting and to stand out, but it still is recognizable as X. And I really appreciated that. I really liked that they did that. I think the biggest thing working against X8 is the art style.
Right.
And that's not to say it's a bad art style, because again, I've come to appreciate it. I don't know the name of the artist, but he's the guy who did the artist for Breath of Fire, for Capcom RPG. I think he's also did the artwork for the Ace Attorney series. You can really see it in the eyes. And then there's that one piece of the first piece of X8 artwork I posted, where you can see them with the solid Mega Man shading, and then there's the Breath of Fire sketchy shading with the hatch marks on them. So you could really see it there. What his style looks like versus the final one. And when you add those hatch marks, I feel like that's where the design really shines, when you give these designs a little bit of grit to them. Mega Man X has always been very shiny and futuristic, but if you add a little bit of grit, just kind of touching the Mega Man Zero series just a little bit, I think these designs really come out and show what they were really going for, and that's why I really love them. And I just love it. The slimmer designs for X here, the slimmer proportions, were explained as they wanted the characters to look like action figures, more and that's not as an insult. They wanted them to feel like cool action figures, like a neat model kit or something.
Yeah.
Which is ironic.
Something with a lot of posability. As soon as you look at it, you can be like, this design can pose like anything.
Yes, and this is exemplified in X8 when you play the game. Something that not a lot of people realize is that if you have gigantic watermelon limbs, you can't cross your arms or walk or do anything. It just doesn't work outside of cartoons. So Mega Man X can get away with those things because it's an illustration and you can ignore physics of it. There's a famous picture of Zero from X6 or X7, I think, where he's crossing his arms and the artist very clearly shrunk his arms. Because it would be very obvious that they'd be clipping into one another otherwise. So I think they made the right move here. They were looking to shrink down X, make him way more posable, and basically made him even more mature and more futuristic. I think this is how you bring X into a new design and make him look more cool. The only things that I don't like about this design is that he doesn't have the jaw guard, like the little pointy bit that, because the thing that goes around his face, the light blue part, and then there's the point that follows the shape of his jaw and stops at his chin. So that little jaw guard is just not there, which I understand what they're going for. It makes X look more human, which is fine. But that is another angular, pointy part of his design, which I think would have made him look cooler. And they've taken that out, and a lot of people have drawn it back in various edits. I'm sure I'll add my own at some point. I wish that kind of came back. And the only other thing I don't like is that while I do appreciate the fact that his feet aren't gigantic, but they still kind of taper outwards, as you would expect from Mega Man, it's the fact that the feet are shaped like shoes. I like the heel. The heel can stay. I just wish that the feet were more... there's like a curve, like it's like a goes down and then there's like a lesser curve, you know what I mean? I would have preferred it if it was more just like the default single dome shape, just one solid curve all the way down to the bottom of the foot. I think that would have been better than having it almost looks like there's like toes, you know what I'm saying? I don't want X to look like he has shoes on. I want X to feel like he's got metal robot feet.
Right. I mean, at the same time, it's the whole one step closer to humanity thing, so, like, I totally see where it's coming from, but yeah, I get it.
What they could have done,
if they really, bit different.
If they really wanted to keep that, and again, I'm going to put up more edits here, what they could have done was taken that toe segment and actually segment it and turn it into, like, a toe. Like a bendable toe, as we will see in the Zero series.
Okay.
And so the thing that really made me fall in love with this design is that they take the chest motif, the little lavender chest plate parts, and they repeat them on his arms. And I like that. It kind of gives him a little bit more detail. It feels natural for his design, and it doesn't feel out of place, you know?
You know what? I never made the connection. I was like, oh, there's cool new parts on the Buster and on the arms. But yeah, that's totally what that is.
And I like that. I think they did excellent with that. I also don't know if I like the ankle joints, because I thought ankle joints were like Zero's thing. But I mean, I'm okay with them. I can take them or leave them. I don't really notice them as much, later.
Yeah, I think it's fine. They're non-offensive.
Yeah, they're inoffensive.
Can I talk about my favorite parts of the design?
Oh, please, go ahead. I don't want to take up all the time, because I will never shut up about X8.
Alright. We're going for a 3B here.
Okay.
Since you've already covered the Buster. With the extra segments and
I
stuff.
love the bigger, longer Buster with the cool-ass barrel. It's so good.
It's so good. But, okay, the Mohawk and the head gem are, like, noticeably bigger.
I was about to say that.
And, like, I think it looks pretty good. From everything being slimmed down, this one, like, focal red part is, like, here it is,
Yeah, that big forehead gem has always been, like, the focal point of, like, X's character. It almost looks like a... It's like a piece of his power, It's like, this is the thing that represents his power, this big red gem, And even Maverick Hunter X played with this a bit. If you look at the artwork for Maverick Hunter X versus some of the older Suetsugu artwork, the red gem is very, like, subdued. But they played with making the forehead crest less thin, more wide, and then giving the gem a couple more angles and making it, like, thicker. If I could, I would combine the size and proportions of the Mega Man X8 forehead, crest, and gem, and give it the angularness of the Maverick Hunter X1. Because if you look, the gem is flush with the Mohawk on the X8 one, which I'm not as big a fan of, but I mean, it's inoffensive, I don't really care, it's very streamlined, it's cool. But I like the angles on the Maverick Hunter X1, where you can see that trapezoidal shape, and you can see the gem is coming out of it. So I want to combine the two into, like, my perfect Mohawk.
On the helmet, the eyebrow thing, I like how it wraps around to the back too. Like instead of just going down because the jaw part is gone, so it just goes around to the back, and I think it wraps around. We don't have any art handy. The back of his head.
I'll find it. Hold on a second. You're forgetting who you're talking to.
I didn't want to impose.
You're never imposing. If it means that I can send you better artwork, more cool stuff, then you know that I will. But
yeah.
Go ahead and continue. We'll insert it later.
Okay. And I love how on the original X, he had the chest titties. They in the front they
as
were,
opposed to the foot titties.
Well, he had back titties too.
Oh, you're right.
And he had the chest titties, and it connected to the back titties, but they were separated. Yeah. But on X8, the back titties just become like a backpack, sort of, and I think that actually looks really great. The more I look at it, the more I like it.
Right.
And but my favorite thing about the design is that his ears have an X shape in it. Yeah. So when it's lit up, it's like an X, and he's finally got his own signifier, because Zero has the Z on his shoulder, and then X has the X ear, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I think that is a super cool detail. He doesn't just have the same kind of ears as everyone else. Like, it's little details. Yeah, by the way, notice how Boob Eyes is his favorite. Yeah, man. There's just something great about the X8 design that I don't think a lot of people notice at first. They see the shoe feet and they don't like it, and they're like, ugh, which is how I felt when I first saw them. Because, again, I can understand, I get it. Like I said, very subtle differences would probably fix it. They don't necessarily like the art style, because Suetsugu's art style was so impactful.
How many years did we have that art style?
Yeah, right? For a long time. And like I said, the X8 art style really shines, really comes out, is really more emphasized when you make it a little bit gritty. Because the eyes are smaller, it looks more realistic, so to speak. As realistic as you could make Mega Man.
Right.
And yeah, making it a little bit gritty, I think, is what they should have gone with. But I understand that might have been deviating too far. So it looks like they tried to have like the best of both worlds. They wanted to give us the nice shading that we've come to appreciate from Suetsugu, but they also wanted to give us the cooler, grittier, futuristic look that they were going for with X8. Which, again, I think now that I've had time to think about it, I do really appreciate it. Man,
God, that one where you can see his backpack is just so good. That's my favorite one, I think. it's so like the expression. It's just like the whole thing. I think that's like the definitive look at this design, because it knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, and I do like that you can see that it wraps around like his back. Like there's actually multiple versions of this, which I haven't. We didn't talk about it here because I don't have the artwork that shows it, but there's different versions of what X's back looks like. In some versions, the chest plates wrap around. In other ones, the back is just the same as the front, like I think you mentioned. It depends on what version you're looking at. I know that in Rockman Online, which is basically just Vanilla X but different, but we'll get to him later. The chest plates go down as opposed to meeting in the middle. It's just more angular in the back. I don't know. That's what they do. But yeah, man. And the other thing, this is what really again made me appreciate X8, was when I realized, and again, I don't have proof for this, but this is my headcanon and it makes the most sense to me, is that by this point the Mega Man Zero series has already been well underway. It's already a thing. The X8 designs for X and Zero and Axel all look like they were taking one step closer to the Mega Man Zero designs.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it, because they have the segmented front and back half of the foot, just like how a Mega Man Zero character has the toe in the front of their boot. They're slimmer, they look more like humans wearing armor as opposed to giant chunky robot boys. They have smaller eyes, more like gritty look to them, which is, you know, they look like they're just one big doe eye away from looking like the Mega Man Zero characters, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just what it is, man. That's what really made me go, oh, I get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not one of those designs that immediately like hits you over the face with what it is. Like, you really gotta appreciate it, and it's like, oh, there it is.
Yes.
Just talking about it's making me like it more. Like, I think it's great.
Yeah, man. They really streamlined it, and like I said, they needed that reset after X7. They needed a breath of fresh air, and they needed to do something impressive looking. And I know that not a lot of people, you know, really jumped on board with the X8 style, but I actually really, really liked it, because I had to get out of the mindset of wanting more of the same. And, you know, for you Zero fanboys out there, everyone hated the way that Mega Man Zero looked at first, but now it friggin' won Best Art Style in the Mega Man Awards that we hosted.
Yep.
So, you know, I wish that X8, you know, had a few more games in that art style and things like that, so we could really get to see what that was going to be like. You know?
Hey, you know, never say die.
Yeah, never say die. So I want to see more of this art style and more of this design philosophy. Like, we're just talking about X, but like I could go on and on and on about how good Zero looks. In fact, I think I probably did when we did Oops All Zeros.
Yep.
So go check that out at some point. And I'm looking at Axel. He got the least amount of changes, but even he was a little bit more streamlined, and I really appreciate it. You know, they did X8, they did some good stuff, and
yep.
I hope that if anyone's listening, you appreciate it more after hearing this.
Yeah, I've noticed that seeing enthusiasm from people about stuff really kind of can help open your eyes to things that you've never noticed. And I hope that we can help do that for X8, because when they inevitably bring back that design in X9.
Or X-Dive as a skin, hopefully.
Yeah, or Kotobukiya kit.
Or, you know what?
I would love that. Oh my god.
Okay, so we're going to go on a tangent here. This isn't this isn't an official figure. But I got to show you something. Where the heck is it? I got to find this. I have this garage kit. And I haven't built it yet. I still got to do stuff with it. It's all prepped and ready to go. You know what? I don't even trust myself. I might give it to you, Cole, so you can paint it. I have this garage kit from this guy. If I say his name wrong, oh, here it is. Rockman Pappy. I'm gonna go ahead and give you his profile. This guy has made a super, super, super perfect Mega Man X8 garage kit. I'm going to go post a picture from it once I get through his million pictures on X-Dive and Metabots. So here's just a quick example of some of his work. Take a look at this. Now this is not an official figure, but damn if it was. Oh,
that's that guy. Okay, yeah, I've been following this progress for a while.
So he's done Mega Man X8, you know, Default X, and he's working on Neutral Armor X. And, oh, it's just beautiful, beautiful work. Oh my god! When I first saw this, I remember hounding him for months. I'm like, where can I get this figure? Are you making this? Are you selling this? Is this going to be at Wonderfest? And I remember dropping like a couple $100 on a proxy service to snag that figure, because I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to see this kind of thing ever again, you know? So that's what I did. I had to get it. It's a beautiful figure. It's excellent. And if you look at the way he poses it, you can really see the genius behind the X8 design. Because when you pose this figure, it just sings. It's like, oh, I get this design now, you know? And even when you play the game, just look at the way they animate when they, like, slide down a wall. You can't do that in, like, their chunky bodies. You can't put them in these exaggerated poses, because their limbs would overlap, and you would see that it's overlapping. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it works with sprites, because you can fudge it as much as you want, but as soon as you go into 3D models, it's a different story.
Yeah, you'll see limbs clipping into one another, and like that's not good.
You know what? One thing I really like about the X8 design, like, I know we're still on it, but I mean, come on. is that it has extra line. It has extra line work, but it's not too busy. Like
Yes.
another one that we're gonna cover a bit later on. It's just like it's just enough to add an extra little bit of detail, but it's like, it's fine. Look at it.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit extra.
It's just enough. It doesn't go overboard.
Right.
A certain other infamous armor that we're going to be talking about in another episode. The developers for that game said X looks too boring when he's standing next to Axel and Zero because they're so much more exciting. And then they went and overdid it, and X he overblows everything. He becomes way too, busy. I feel like the X8 design is like the perfect. That's what they should have went with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a perfect evolution.
It's a perfect evolution for both the X design, for both the X series, and also it's great because it's one step closer to the Mega Man Zero series. And I feel like if we had gotten X9 back in the day, like in 2005, 2006, or whenever, I feel like we really would have seen more stuff connecting the X series to the Zero series, which was still really hot at the time.
Yeah.
I think we would have gotten more of that, and I think they really would have leaned heavily into that connection and into that design and really played up the grittiness just a little bit, But instead of X9, we ultimately got Maverick Hunter X, which I'm not complaining about. It's a great game. Yeah, okay. Bonus says I am. But, I can't help but wonder what could have been,
Yeah. I mean, they're showing so much interest in the X series lately. Like, that's gotta be the next big one.
It's gotta be, man. They haven't talked about it in a while. They're getting awfully silent, but this isn't the silence that I expect when it's like, oh, nothing's happening. This is we have to keep our mouth shut because we're gonna blow people's minds with this.
Yeah, and it's also, oh crap, our plans got completely trashed by this global situation.
Yeah, but the friggin' Eurasia blew up and screwed up everything, and now we're dealing with it.
Oh yeah, the colony crashed and there's virus everywhere.
There's virus everywhere. It's affecting humans too. So anyway, yeah, just take one look at this figure as we've been yammering on.
It's beautiful.
You can see why the X8 design is what they settled on. It's very dynamic. You can do a lot with it. And it is a nice transition to what the Zero series would eventually go on to exemplify.
Yes, and back to the Kotobukiya kits, I love them. They're in the X 5 through 7, kind of proportions.
Yep.
But some neutral poses are harder because the legs are so chunky. He's Mega Chunk X, and just getting him to stand is a little bit weird because you're chunking left and right, but God, just seeing this slim is like
sometimes you gotta just not chunk, can't be. As someone who is married to someone who's cosplayed Chunky Boy Zero, I just want to say that yes, moving around with limbs like that is not easy. Bonus, when she is in her Zero cosplay, has to walk around like a cowboy who just shat his pants. To give you an idea of like and I've even been in a cosplay before. I was Grenade Man once, and to walk around in it, you have to basically like spread your feet wider than shoulder width apart, and then just walk like that the whole time. And you can't let your feet come together underneath your shoulders like you expect. They have to be wider. And it's tiring to walk that way. It's awkward to walk that way. You have to kind of like swing your whole body left and right to like move your legs that way. Bonus has her crotch hurt. It's a great workout.
Well, it's funny that that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and in the cutscenes with X and Zero walking around, they're hobbling like they don't know what they're doing, like they've never moved before.
Yeah,
because you're so used to. Yeah, you're so used to seeing them, move like X and Zero do, and then you just see them move how they would in real life, and it's why would you put that in the game?
Yeah, like, and that is exactly why I can see why they slimmed them down, because in 3D animation, it just works better. I mean, X7 got away with it, but didn't it look weird? It always felt like they were gliding everywhere. It didn't feel right when they moved in X7. You know, and that's the same thing, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Just look up the cutscenes. Anytime X and Zero are on screen, they definitely fudged it a bit, because it's mocap, but if you look, they, like, kind of walk weird, because they have to. So, you know, in a cartoon setting where it doesn't matter and everything's 2D animated, you can get away with it, and it's fine. You can just make them walk like normal, and you'll never notice that in real life their legs would be passing through each other. So for things like figures and 3D and whatever, like, yeah, man, the slimmer limbs just make it so much better for posability and action shots and you know, and things like that. So, like, I get it, you know? I totally get it.
Okay. Man, we stayed on X8 for a long time, but I think it totally deserved it.
Yeah, I think we have to give it its due respect.
Absolutely.
It's just how it goes, man. So so yes, please give some respect to X8. Please reevaluate X8 and how you might look at it. And
but like I said, when I was younger, you know, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, and then it really then it grew on me. Then it really grew on me.
And you know what?
Now
people have said this throughout the Mega Man history. So when Mega Man Legends came out, everyone hated it because they were like, "This isn't Mega Man. This is too different." And people, you know, poo-pooed on it, and they never liked it. I mean, I liked it when I was a kid because I'm like, yeah, cool, 3D Mega Man, whatever. But even I was like, this is strange. This isn't the Mega Man I'm expecting. But I like it.
Right.
And then when Mega Man EXE came out, I was like, this isn't the Mega Man I wanted. This is so weird. It's too different. But then I liked it. I gave it a chance. And I was like, wow, actually, I love this. This totally works for what this is trying to be. You know, and for a while there, Battle Network was, you know, going toe-to-toe with Pokemon. So I'm just saying, Battle Network was really a bigger powerhouse than anyone ever expected. And I'm glad that I did give it a second chance. You know, and then when Zero came out, everyone was like, ew, what the hell is this art style? Everyone's got like watermelon heads and big doughy eyes and what's going on? You know, but over time, it grew on people. You started thinking about it, you know, differently and really, you know, it kind of goes to show you what those Capcom designers were really thinking. They kind of knew what they were doing. It's just that I think a lot of us were just too young to appreciate it.
Yeah, they were 2 steps ahead.
They know what they were doing. But we didn't, because we just weren't caught up with them yet, you know?
Right. Yeah,
like,
it's Back to the Future. You know, you don't like it, but your kids will.
Yeah,
you know?
maybe that was a little too wild for you guys, you know? You might not like it, but your kids will, exactly. So, yeah, definitely. Go give X8 another chance. Go check out Rockman Pappy. He's, please don't flood him with things, but definitely go check out his Twitter. He does incredible custom model kits. He's done Mega Man X8X. He's done Copy X based on the D-Arts Zero, and it looks super official. He has an X8 vial, but he didn't make that. Someone else did. But he has it, and it just so happens to match up with his X kit, so that's wonderful. Yeah, go check him out. Really talented guy, super awesome. And look out for his stuff on at Wonderfest whenever they do that again. If they do that when this pandemic's over.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm super excited to see him finish the neutral armor. Can't wait to see what that's going to be like.
Yep.
So, was that the last one for this episode?
That's it for this one.
All right. Well, I'm glad.
There's a lot to say about this basic X design. Wait till we get to the armor.
Well, okay. It's mostly because we had to say our prayers about X8. We had to, you know, pay our respects.
Establish the baseline and all that.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah. That's what I got to say. Thank you everybody for joining us. Leave us a comment down below and tell us what your favorite design for X is out of these that we've discussed. Let us know what art style is the best. Do you think that certain designs would benefit from different art styles? Like, what if you took, you know, X8X and had him drawn by Inafune? Or what if you took, you know, the Suetsugu era X and had him drawn in the X8 art style? You know, mix it up a bit. Let us know what you think would be a good combination down below. And or maybe if there's an artist who hasn't drawn for the Mega Man X series, do you think they'd be able to tackle, X in a better way? Like, man, I would like to see what X would look like in a Legends art style. That might be interesting.
Ooh.
All right, sorry guys, I forgot. I am married to an artist. Okay, bonus. Can you please draw X in a Legends art style for me?
No.
Okay. Well, I tried, you guys.
I want to see the X8 art style, or the X8 design and the X7 art style.
Yeah, I'm curious what the X8 designs would look like in a more traditional Sumitsugu style. Like, would we have bashed on it quite as much if that's what we saw instead? So, I don't know. Let us know down in the comments. That's all I got to say. I'm out of breath.
Whew. X giving us the vapors.
Oh, X gonna give it to you. I can't believe you went 2 whole episodes without saying that.
It has been 0 days since we said X gonna give it to you.
Zero's got his dry erase Sharpie. Oh boy.
Join us tomorrow for command mission and maybe more.
Oh yeah, command mission's next. Can't wait to talk about that one.
Yep. We'll see you there.
Alright, take it easy everybody.